Hi. There was someone before me who kind of covered a few things that I also wanted to talk about. But first of all, I would like to start with a question. Are you guys curious about different things, for example, history, culture, and all these things?
Yes.
I'm sure you guys are interested in different topics. And this is very good if you want to learn a language, because it can give you a lot of motivation, which I think is one of the most important things in language learning. And just generally about knowledge, as one of our Greek colleagues showed us a picture, which is something that kind of supports language learning and my topic as well. So thank you for that. First of all, let's understand a bit more how the process works in our brain. Just a bit about how the brain works when you learn a language. You know, the brain consists of billions of connections, and these connections are made when you learn something. And if you have two connections, but that are not connected, but they are separate connections, then you can make those two connections connect to each other easier. That's that's why it is important to connect these new words and phrases that you learn to something. I mean, to a situation when you are I don't know, watching a movie, or you just hear Spanish speakers say something to the other one, but when you can kind of catch the meaning, maybe you can go and ask them what it meant. But then it helps your brain make the connection easier, because you can connect it to an already existing something in your brain. And as we all know, and as we all have noticed, that our brain is kind of selective, and it's many times it's very hard for us to remember a few things, like almost everything sometimes. So your most effective weapon against against forgetting is if you know some things about how to repeat. It's repetition. Yes. So when you learn something, you know it for a few seconds, or maybe for half a minute, or a few minutes maybe. Then it decreases. Your knowledge decreases very much after a very short period of time. But if a repetition comes into the picture after a short period of time, then it's on the top again. Then it decreases again, but not as drastically as for the first time. If a bit longer time passes again, and they repeat it again, it's again not going down so drastically as it did before. And that's the key thing about repetition, and it's very, very important part of remembering things generally, and also about language learning. If you are the kind of person who thinks that, oh, okay, it would be cool, but when should I do it on a daily basis? I forget it. I just keep forgetting. I'm doing my daily basics, and I just tend to forget it. maybe I have a lot of work to do, maybe I just simply forget it. So that's why I recommend you to connect this the action of learning activity with some other basic activities. Maybe when you are going to work, you listen to a podcast, or when you're doing basic things that you would normally do in your day. Try to make a habit and try to connect it with a basic thing that you do every day. One of the most important things about language learning is that if you don't have fun while doing so, or after reaching a certain level, then you just make the process a lot more difficult. Because language learning has to be fun. As I asked in the beginning about curiosity and being interested in different topics, that can be one of the things that can motivate you. And this the motivation, if you are interested in these things, and you set a goal, as you also said, your goal is to read things in a certain topic that you are very much interested in. Then you can kind of learn the vocabulary inside of the area. That can be, for example, one goal for you, and I find it to be the most effective way of learning, that you read a lot, you listen to the radio, even if you don't understand much. It's very important that your brain has to get used to hearing the language. That's the first step. Even if you don't know a word, start listening to the radio, start watching films or Netflix series with subtitles on, or just try to notice things when listening to the new language, about pronunciation and all this stuff. But your brain has to notice the different things about the language, because it's your brain that has to be learned the language. Just listen to podcasts, read a lot. It's maybe the most effective way of extending your vocabulary. So that's my advice about it. And before saying thank you, my conclusion is that, as you also said, that it's not a skill that only a few people have, but it's a skill that everyone has. And try to motivate yourself with these topics. Try to get into situations where you need the target language, where you listen to these things, and that will motivate you. And no pressure. That's very important. No pressure. Thank you for your